evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morgan, Motor City of Manmouth. Trent Clark will join us in a little bit, but meanwhile, we'll talk about the crew that's currently on right now. George Reichman, welcome back, George.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And we got old Cat here, Cat. Glad to have you back.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
You're welcome, and Taylor Phillips, the most improved broadcaster on the planet with the magnifying glass, and he's going to continue to be the most improved broadcaster because this guy has a blue collar work ethic, just like that Taylor Phillips blue mitten. Good blue stuff. I got a blue collar, and Trent will be on later. Let me give you a few news updates first, and we'll proceed accordingly. And now, what we're going to be doing is, now that I'm heavily involved with MLB right now, I'll be doing a lot of Miami Marlins stuff. So this will be the show. You'll catch some of your Marlins content for those of you that are scribing locally, as well as some of it will be carried over into the Sports Exchange on Wednesday nights from time to time. I'll have a lot of good things to put in there. I know the organization obviously is in a rebuild mode, but bear in mind, don't say what you want about those mighty Marlins, but they have 2 world championships in their pocket, that's for sure. So can't take that away from them. So one of the updates that we're going to talk about right now is Marlins outfielder Griffin Conine underwent shoulder surgery yesterday in L.A. He will be out the rest of the season. He is expected back in spring training 2026. And the one thing I noticed about the Miami Marlins, they have a great group of young players. They really do. You have Dane Myers, George, as we both know, the former Detroit Tiger is in there. A guy by the name of Xavier Edwards, who actually got a cycle when he was taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Well, at Miller Park. I'm calling it Miller Park. I don't care what everybody says about the current spot, so they don't put money in my pocket anyways. But so Dane Myers is a guy who really a good kid where the Detroit Tigers let him go. And Xavier Edwards is another guy who I think is a force to be reckoned with as well. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how a lot of that all plays out. With that said, we're going to let Eric go ahead and give his rant early in the show. Go ahead, Eric.
Man, the Minnesota Twins really got to start thinking about pressing the good old reset button. This team is going nowhere. I really think that they're hungover from last year's second half collapse, which ultimately propelled a surging Detroit Tigers team into the postseason. But, they really got to start thinking about it. I mean, the Pollard family is cheaper than a gumball machine, and they really have to start. I know that they're wanting to sell the team, but overall, though, forget what's going on the outside. This team needs to reset, man, because they are on the road to nowhere right now. The only thing keeping them out of last place is the rebuilding Chicago White Sox. But, this team, it was, 2023 had so much promise, especially after they won their first playoff series since I think 1991, or actually 2002, excuse me. And they looked like they were heading in the right direction. And then all of a sudden, good old Joe Pohlad decides to shave $30 million off his payroll just with the excuse of the television network wasn't there, which given the fact that they're in the 15th largest market in the country, get out of here. You got plenty of money to go around there, but they've missed their window. It's time for them to start to think about rebuilding before they end up like the Chicago White Sox. They got plenty of pieces to move. Guys like Joe Ryan and Yohan Duran are pieces they could certainly ship elsewhere and make their farm system deeper.
Hey Brian, if you can hang with us for a little bit, I have some good clips from Clayton McCullough, the manager of the Miami Marlins, and part of what you're saying here. Ken, let's put that up on the chat. This is really a good comment. As someone who watches a lot of Marlins games, it's bad that they will trade away anyone good. Great comment, Brian. I'm going to put the manager on when Trent Clark gets on, so if you can hang with us a little bit. In fact, I'll be putting a lot of clips every week with the Miami Marlins, and we got a lot this week. And over the course of the season, Brian, you can expect a lot of those clips every single weekend, perhaps on the Sports Exchange on Wednesday night, but primarily on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. But thanks for contributing that, Brian. I really, truly appreciate it. Well, with that said, we're going to let you rant stand alone tonight, Eric, without any further comment. You spoke your mind about the Minnesota Twins, and we'll see how it all plays out. And we'll get more into the Detroit Tigers next week. not tonight because we have a lot of other topics we're going to get to as well. But that said, now let's talk about the Louisville Slugger, no longer the official bat of MLB after almost 30 years. What are your thoughts about that, George?
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. My sister Pam went there, and I know a lot of you guys probably gone. I've never been to the place where it's made and their store down in Louisville, but it's part of baseball. It's just a name that's synonymous with baseball, Major League Baseball, and it's just another thing that they're taking away that us old timers don't like to see happen. I don't know all the ins and outs. I mean, I know businesses come and go, and associations and contracts come and go, but boy, that one stinks to me. I'm sorry, Louisville Slugger and MLB. And in fact, Scott, I got you to thank for that nice bat, that the miniature bat that you got for me that time. From I think that one was from the Hall of Fame, but you got me stuff before when you went down there. I just don't. These things are silly and stupid sometimes to figure out, and why they would do that is beyond me. But I know money talks and contracts talk. But I'm sorry to see him go.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think they're taking away MLB is, but it doesn't mean they're not going to produce bats for other companies, and that's a place I'd like to go. I mean, MLB is a different animal. Think about it. There's some of these MLB bat teams are going to the torpedo bats too, so they may find themselves another little niche to go somewhere else. I don't think Louisville Slugger is going out of business. It just means that they're looking for different manufacturers. Let's go back to Brian Nudell. SMH, another mistake MLB is doing. MLB, yeah, no doubt about that. Great minds think alike. That's where you and George are. We'll see what Taylor's thoughts are. Taylor?
Shocking news. Man. I read it in a notification on my phone this morning, and I was thinking 30 years, that's a long time. But Louisville Slugger their bats should still be used, whether in all levels of baseball, including MLB. Even if it's not the sponsor of Major League Baseball any longer, whether it's Major League Baseball, Minor League Baseball, or any level below that. But really, I cannot think of any other bat sponsor for Major League Baseball. There's no other, because there isn't, to be honest with you. Louisville Slugger has been and will always be the sponsor in terms of bats of Major League Baseball. End of story.
Okay. Eric?
I mean, that's kind of shocking because Louisville Slugger's been used since the beginning of the sport. I know Ted Williams used to go through that factory and want his bat a certain way and would actually tip the guy to do it. I've been fortunate enough over the years to be able to visit the factory and actually take a tour of it. And it's a fantastic place. I mean, if you get a chance to go, if you're ever in Louisville, you got to go. I mean, it's just so synonymous. It's such a great place to visit, but it's kind of surprising. I don't think players will truly stop using them because there are plenty of bats being used in this league that as long as they meet the specifications that Major League Baseball establishes, you're allowed to use them. So I don't think Louisville Slugger will go away because there's other leagues besides baseball that play during the summertime too. Other like independent and minor league baseball, things like that. And there's other leagues that play, other baseball leagues that play too. But even though it's not official, I don't think the bat will go away. It's a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, and they do so much for the sport of baseball that I think that they'll just have to, even though they're not the official bat sponsor yet, I think they'll find a way to kind of reinvent themselves on that front.
Yeah, Eric, that's what I was thinking about too, Eric. And Louisville Slugger is not going to go away. It's not like MLB is the only
right
league out on.
There's indie ball, and yeah,
right. And not only that, if players choose to go out there and get Louisville Slugger, that's up to them. They're just saying they're not the official sponsor, but it's not going to stop. The teams are going to want their players to play the bats they're comfortable with, right? Regardless of where they're manufactured and produced. It's just one of those types of situations we bring it into the show. It's a 30-year association. Louisville Slugger is no longer associated with MLB. But again, there's a lot of different leagues, minor leagues and all. Say what you want about the minor leagues, whether a lot of the leagues are shrinking in size because of reduction of minor league teams, but still that doesn't mean that Louisville Slugger is totally going away.
I mean, we've seen minor league teams kind of come and go over the years. That's not new. And
Right.
I mean, Louisville Slugger, even before it was the official bat of baseball, people still used them. I mean, it goes all the way back to Ted Williams, and the fact that even though they're not the official bat, players are still going to use them. I mean, if you're comfy swinging the wood, and that ball, especially these days, goes over fence for a home run, I don't think the league will care what you swing as long as it's within the specifications set forth by Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I agree. I think there will be.
Teams just want to see ball go over fence, no matter what you swing.
Well, you know what? It's amazing how it's a great segue to what I'm going to say. Katie and I had the opportunity to see the Marlins take on the Athletics. That's just the Athletics. I had to get used to that for a few years. And Kyle Stowers had a 2-home run night on Saturday versus the A's, including the walk-off grand slam 9-6 win. And I'm going to tell you, Stowers hit a walk-off grand slam. How often do you see that? But here's what I thought as I was watching it. He strikes out the at-bat previously to that grand slam, but he hit another home run. And I'm thinking, if this guy gets up at the plate, I don't know why. Just because you strike out, let's face the reality. When you're in baseball, the thing is if you're going to get one good pitch to hit. If you don't get it, you're going to lead to an out. That's what I've noticed over the years. And I'm sure a lot of people probably echo those sentiments. But get this. What do you think he does? He hit that grand slam, and all of a sudden they were extremely happy, and they were walking away.
Grand slam.
But here's what the windup is. Stowers has been named the National League Player of the Week. So there you go. And that 2-home run night, a guy I believe this guy was acquired in a trade with the Baltimore Orioles.
He was.
Right. So you're talking about some of these guys that are paying big dividends later on for this ball club. I'll get into Clayton McCullough's comments a little bit later. But George, what are your thoughts about Kyle Stowers and what he was able to do?
Oh, that's a phenomenal thing. It really is. Talk about a situation where you got the game on the line. You're kind of like looking and saying, can I do this? Really? Can I do this? And to get a meaty pitch like that and be able to clear the bases with that grand salami, oh my gosh, it does not happen that often. You're right. We've had some thrilling at bats by guys, up here in Detroit, Riley Green, and I know we'll talk more about that next week after this next series. But no, anytime you get an opportunity like that, man, you seize the moment, you take advantage of it, and that's what he did. Like you said, Scott, he struck out the time before. That wasn't going to get him down. I mean, you got the bases jammed like that, and oh my God, that's an incredible at bat for him. Good for him, and put another dagger in the Baltimore Orioles for making a trade like that. I'm sorry, but they're going nowhere, and I'm glad to see him flourish so far, down in Miami.
Well, get this. Get this. The guy's a left-handed hitter, pure left-handed hitter, and nobody's going to sit here and tell me that his power wouldn't be ideal for Comerica Park. And when I'm looking at this guy, from my vantage point, Taylor, in the press box, I'm thinking, can you visualize what Kyle Stowers would look like at Comerica Park? And the amazing part about the grand slam, though, is this. He hits it to the opposite field. Then he had another one where it's a full hitter. And then he hits a soft single the other day to the opposite field. So this guy, Kyle Stowers, can go ahead and hit to all fields. With that said, I'm going to turn over to Taylor Phillips. What are your thoughts about Kyle Stowers?
Definitely a cleanup hitter with the grand slam home run that he hit. The proof's in the pudding. Kyle Stowers, he's a home run hitting machine, of course. Mm-hmm. So we can all remember him as a run manufacturer, a run producer, offense producer.
Okay.
Nothing. You can't do any better than him.
Exactly. All right, Eric, some thoughts about Kyle.
Well, I remember when the trade went down, Baltimore, didn't really have a spot for him, so they traded him and Connor Norby, who I think Connor Norby is I think he can get going because he's but they traded him for Trevor Rogers. Now I hated the trade at the time because Trevor Rogers hasn't been good since his rookie year, yet he still has a job, go figure. And I hated the trade then, and it just continues to get ugly now. I mean, Stowers is clearly showing that he can be a centerpiece of this emerging core in Miami, and so far he's off to a red hot start to begin the season. I mean, what more can you ask for? I mean, it was definitely Peter Benedict's definitely swindled Mike Elias, the rookie GM definitely got the better of the master that day.
Well, I have a feeling that Peter Benedict is going to swindle a lot of people.
Well, he's from Tampa, so of course he's going to figure out how to swindle people. The only guy from Tampa who didn't swindle people was Chaim Bloom.
I was thinking the same thing, I swear, Eric.
Unless you're Chaim Bloom.
That was good. I have nothing more to add to that. Oh, that was good. You know what? I'm quit while I had give it to Candy for a station break. Go ahead, Candy. That was good, Eric.
You are listening to the South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel. If you see that red subscribe button, hit it like us shares with all your friends and family. The South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by your host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. And the foreword was written by another panelist here, George Eichhorn. Grab your copy today. It talks about old school media versus new school media. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can find a plethora of great content. Scott and George both write for us. We're working on getting Eric to send us an article or two. And Taylor, anytime you want to write, feel free to, write us up a little article there. We'll put you on the website as well. If you like listen to, you're welcome. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. Monday nights we talk baseball, Tuesday nights we talk football, Wednesday and Thursday nights you just never know what you're going to get. So tune in and find out. If you want to advertise, call Scott, 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to the program.
All right, just another note there. The Houston Astros play slugger Jordan Alvarez on the injured list with a right hand inflammation. The club announced on Monday. Catcher Cesar Salazar was recalled in a corresponding move. Alvarez missed 2 games of Houston's weekend series against Chicago White Sox. Anybody have a comment on that?
Yeah. Well, first off, Jordan Alvarez is a big part of of that Houston offense. I mean, he's always had injury problems. I like to say that I like to think that him and Giancarlo Stanton are both the same player, where they're both guess hitters, where they'll go up to the plate guessing on the pitch. They guess right, that ball is going to end up over the wall and land somewhere else. If they guess wrong, it's more than likely going to be an out or a strikeout. But Jordan Alvarez has always had injury problems, and it's unfortunately just a part of his game. It's tough to see him go out like he has, especially with Houston kind of staggering along here a little bit.
Well, I think he'll come back. Hopefully, he won't be out all that long. But boy, oh boy, it is a loss to the Astros lineup. Sure, they need him, and even though he's had struggling this part of the season, I mean, so far a little bit struggling, he's still a great player. I always admired him. I think that the Astros better watch themselves because they could fall way to the wayside early on, because I'll tell you what, these races in these divisions, you can't depend on one guy. You can't depend on one slugger. You got to center that offense around a number of different players.
Well, good. They can fall. They can fall off, and I'll be happy when they do. I won't feel bad. Matter of fact, I will laugh at them.
Well, you hate everybody's team. You always say.
Well, particularly, I reserve an extra special set of hate for both the Red Sox and these days the Astros.
Anything you want to add to it, Taylor?
Yordan Alvarez, like you said, as an offensive threat. Yeah, he's got to be out for a little while, but he's going to come back sometime later. The Astros miss him, but they're going to have to fend for themselves or try to find some extra offense, whether they call somebody up from the minor leagues or get an acquisition.
Some good news to report out of Pittsburgh.
Prior to the trade deadline.
Sorry for that. Okay. Some good news to report out of Pittsburgh, I should add. And then we'll bring Trent in here to come on the Louisville Slugger topic, and then we'll start getting to a lot of other things as well. But good news out of Pittsburgh, the 20-year-old man who fell from the top of the 20-foot high wall onto the warning track at PNC Park during a Pittsburgh Pirates game last week took his first steps on Monday, but has a long way to go in his recovery. The man that I'm talking about is Kevin Mark, who slipped off a railing and fell onto the field during the 7th inning of Pittsburgh's 4-3 win over the Chicago Cubs last weekend. I just wanted to report it. Nobody has to comment. If you want me to do, that's fine. But it's always good to be able to report news like this instead of hearing it the other way. So as long as we have time for news updates, which we will do here on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, that's what we'll do. Any quick thoughts on that?
Oh,
okay. Fair enough.
Wish him the best.
No problem. All right, Trent, what I want you to do is give me your thoughts on the Louisville Slugger is no longer the official bat of MLB. What are your thoughts about after 30 years with it?
Yeah, it feels like it's always been there. Louisville Slugger's been almost iconic when it comes to baseball bats. So, this is competition. This is commerce. We're capitalists here in the country. So, better things come along. And I think people are going, I think, but just like players, no job is safe. So if you're a vendor and you're doing other things and all of a sudden someone comes up with, say, the torpedo bat and it's a better product, right, people are going to use and go for the best equipment. So iconic place. I love their museum in Louisville, Kentucky, and highly encourage everybody to go check it out. It's a really cool place, and kind of sad to see them go, but this is the way things change.
Okay. Now, as our title indicated, we'll talk about the Hall of Fame class of 2025. Dick Allen, Dave Parker, CC Sabathia, Ichiro Suzuki, Billy Wagner. Start right to left. George Eichhorn, give me your overall thoughts about this entire Hall of Fame class.
Well, I think it's a fabulous class. I'm looking forward to it. The Hall of Fame's done a nice job, as you guys all know, and are, throughout the years. But it's a very good class this year. I'm looking forward to that. And this classic that they're having, they've added extra things, extra incentive for people to come and see. Instead of cramming everything into one long weekend, they're smart. They're spreading things out a little bit. And that's always important too. But yeah, as far as this class goes, Scott, they got a wonderful group of people going in there, and I'm all behind it 100%.
Taylor.
Yeah. Sorry, I was dozing off. What are we on now?
Yeah. Wow, we're working you too hard. Just kidding. We're talking about Hall of Fame class 2025. I just like this guy. Hall of Fame.
Yeah, those are big names. Those are big names. Yeah, very big names. Like I just said, man, Dick Allen, Dave Parker, CC Sabathia, Ichiro Suzuki, and Billy Wagner. Holy cow! Yeah, CC Sabathia, Ichiro Suzuki. Ichiro Suzuki was a phenom. CC Sabathia was an ace for the Cleveland Indians from back in the day when he was in his prime. Of course, Billy Wagner. Also, another big name, Dick Allen and Dave Parker. They're Hall of Famers in their own right.
Well, let me help you out on this a little bit here, Taylor. Think about this, okay? The guy got like 98% of the vote, but he also had 4,300 change hits, between Japan baseball and MLB. I think he should have gotten 100% of the vote, but there you go. So everything I'm telling you more or less validates what you're saying, Taylor. And Ichiro Suzuki was a tremendous player, and I just figure I want to get the totals to back up what you just talked about. Great stuff. Okay. So, Trent, what are your thoughts about when evaluating the class in its entirety?
Well, when we talk about these classes, it's always, there always seems like they're always big names, right? They're the Hall of Fame players. We should know them. This is an interesting class to me because of the roles, right? We have Dick Allen, longtime manager, Dave Parker, iconic outfielder, Ichiro Suzuki, the only two guys at the same position, CC Sabathia, starter, Billy Wagner, famous closer, right? So it's interesting that we kind of picked out these positions. Interesting that there's not an infielder going in. I mean, I thought that was kind of an interesting prospect of the Hall of Fame class. But, man, great names and all well-deserving.
Okay, Eric.
Well, it's already I don't know about the rest of you gentlemen, but it's already starting to get bad though when you see players from your childhood that you watch play get into the Hall of Fame. It's probably just that's either a sign that I'm getting older. But but it's a stellar class. Let me tell you. I mean, CC Sabathia. I mean, New York Yankees ace. I might add. He's going in as a Yankee, which I couldn't be more thrilled about that. And also, Dave Parker should have got in a lot earlier. Obviously, he got caught up in the cocaine scandal during the 70s, but which was unfortunate. Dick Allen, again, another guy that should have been in earlier. Ichiro Suzuki, man, I remember when he first came to America, and next thing you know, he sets this hits in a season record where he actually was touching a record that hadn't been seen since the late 1800s. Think about that for a second. It comes also to make you think. If he played his entire career in America, I guarantee you he could make a run at Pete Rose's record. Guarantee it. And he was another one of them guys who literally could just do it all. Such a special player. Billy Wagner, the guy was either before Trevor Hoffman and Mariano Rivera passed him up, he was either just outside the top 5 or in the top 5 all time in saves. And he did it for so long, especially most notably with the Houston Astros. He was a big part of their success during like the middle part of the 2000s. And you can't it's obviously it's a great class. I think the writers for once got it right. I'll give them the dog bone there. For once they got it right. But I mean, I can't say that I'm complaining about this one.
Okay. Well, speaking of Pete Rose, a little anniversary came up with Pete Rose on April 13th, 1963. His first major league hit was a triple off Pirates Bob Friend. And amazingly enough, we all know that Pete Rose called Charlie Hustle. But Bob Friend, think about it, in a season that sees the increased enforcement of the balk rule, Friend commits 4 of them. How about that? Friend was no friend of the balk rule. Eric, what are your thoughts about Pete Rose's first hit, let alone the balk rule?
I mean, it was the first of 4,000 plus for him. I know they're talking about trying to get Pete Rose back in the game so he'd be eligible for the Hall of Fame. Although it's going to be really up to the writers because knowing how they feel about steroids, I just find it incredibly difficult for them to actually let Pete Rose in. I think the balk rule. I don't think it's an interesting rule because it's had a lot of various interpretations over the years about it. But nowadays, Andy Pettit's famous pickoff move, now that's a balk nowadays. And
that's true.
Yeah, Andy Pettit would just fake to one side, get you on the other, which you can't do that now. But now, but yeah, it's definitely one of those rules, and now I think it's more enforced more now than ever because it used to some days they'd get you, other days they wouldn't. But it's definitely one of those rules that's had a lot of changes to it over the years.
So, what are your thoughts about it? Rose's first hit being a triple there, Eric?
I wouldn't expect anything less from him.
There you go.
I'm sure he was hustling. I'm sure he was diving head first into the bag.
Right. Exactly. I'll tell you what, the guy with the best pickoff move that I have ever seen, and I can say that dating back to my Fort Lauderdale Yankees days, as a guy everybody in Detroit should be all too familiar with, pitching coach Chuck Hernandez. And Chuck once told me the reason why I had such a good pickoff move is because I kept putting runners on base. I had a lot of time to practice it.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah, he did. So
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. That's my story for it. What are your
I mean-
thoughts, Trent, about Pete Rose's first hit being a triple, let alone the fact, if you want to talk about the ball roll, that's fine. If you don't, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Pete Rose's triple first hit.
Yeah. Unreal, isn't it?
Yeah. I always find first of all, most exciting, playing baseball, right? The triple.
Yeah.
So, I mean, early indicators of what to come with Pete Rose. Always an exciting player.
Right.
I wish this guy had the personality that matched off the field as he did on the field, because on the field, always exciting, always things happening. I think a lot of fathers of the 70s and 80s wanted their kids to play like he played, just play hard and the effort. So always fun to watch a guy who hit tons of triples. And didn't hurt him, playing in Riverfront, one of the very few AstroTurf fields back in the late
Right.
70s and early 80s, where you hit a line drive and all of a sudden that thing runs into the gap like crazy. So his backspin slash style hitting was built for that park. Not that I'm sure he didn't have a ton of triples on the road too, but as a switch hitting guy, man, it's I'm a big fan of Rose's play. That's for sure.
Taylor?
Not very many rookies that got their first hit of the game got a triple out of their first hit of their career, like Pete Rose. I mean, that was interesting. That was back in the day, 1963. Wow, that's even weirder. I mean, I don't think there's ever a rookie that can, accomplish that same feat as Pete Rose, particularly. I know I'm aware about the Hall of Fame stuff, the betting on baseball and other stuff, but I just want to touch on how anyone's first hit can in their career can be a triple. That's it takes a lot of running speed, a little bit of bouncing luck off the wall, and where the batter hits the ball, whether it's down the left field line or right field line or up the gap, either gap. It could be anywhere. So you better if you want that triple, you better bust your tail, period.
Well, depends on where you place the ball too, because for example, American Family Field, you hit that sucker into the right field corner, you'll have 3 bags easily.
Well, here's the thing. As Taylor is alluding to, the first impressions have a lot to do with how you define a player. Well, Taylor, you're right. Okay, a triple defines Pete Rose because he's one of those guys that drives in doubles and triples. Wasn't a big home run guy. We all know that singles are what they are. So I agree, Taylor. You're right on point. First impressions are what they are. The guy got a triple, as Eric said. He's hitting the sliding head first. That's really what it is. So, and again, let's go ahead. Candy has some facts up here, please. And let's go ahead. And she looked it up. Pete Rose's first career triple in the major leagues was on the date we talked about, April 1963, when he played for the Cincinnati Reds. He hit it off Friend in the 8th inning in a game at Crosley Field. This was his first game, but you can rest assured he hit a lot of them over at Riverfront Stadium as well. Thanks a lot for the clarification. Candy, over to you, George.
Yeah, I mean, it goes with his name, Charlie Hustle, doesn't it? I mean, he gets a triple on his first at bat in the big leagues. The ones that we really remember, they make more of a bigger deal out of course, is the kid that comes in there wet behind the ears and hits a home run. We all talk about the home run in the first at bat, which happens not too often, but it does sometimes. But Charlie Hustle, yeah, I mean, that is kind of a good twist to his career, because like you said, he's always trying to add extra bases. He's always trying to take the extra base. He's such a great runner. He always was. The helmet goes flying off, and his hair is flowing. And there's so many times when he was bulldozing Ray Fosse in the All-Star game. Of course, we'll never forget that one at home plate. But yeah, Rose is a great hitter of all time. And it doesn't totally surprise me, but it is a great anniversary of his first hit, like you said, Scott.
Yeah, don't get me started on Ray Fosse. If he hadn't got banged up in the All-Star game, I think
Yeah.
he'd be one of the greatest catchers of all time. We'll stay on one more Hall of Fame thing real quick, then we're going to go to our Marlins clip from Clayton McCullough. I'm really looking forward to Clayton McCullough. What a tremendous person. Johnny Damon, Hall of Fame, comes in, he has a 284 average out there with 2,769 hits, 235 home runs, 1,139 RBI, runs 1,665. All right, Eric, do you think that Johnny Damon should be in the Hall of Fame?
No, I mean he was a good player. I mean, obviously a big part of the Yankees when he was there. But no, he was just to me he was just a very good player. I don't think. Keep in mind too, his era, like it's hard because they had a lot of great center fielders during that time, and to me Johnny Damon just I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. He to me is a Hall of very good, if that.
There you go. Okay, Trent.
Yeah, I'm with Cassie on this one. I love Johnny Damon. Like to watch him play. Very solid player. And, maybe one of the knocks on him is that he played on really good teams, right? He played on a great Boston team, and then he played on some great Yankee teams. And he's surrounded by a bunch of other great players, which put him, by the way, like never more than like fourth or fifth on any of those teams. So I always think of Hall of Famers are impact number ones on every team when they're playing, especially in their prime. They're a number one option. And if you're really on a great team, you got to be number one or two. And in this case, I never saw Johnny Damon that way. So loved watching him play, learned a lot as an outfielder watching him play. And I really appreciated when he left Boston and cut his hair and went to New York. So I didn't even recognize the guy. And he reinvented himself there in New York and had another, 4 or 5 great years there. And so big fan of Johnny, but I would probably not vote him in.
Okay, Taylor, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and read his teams, and then you can comment on it based on that. Is that all right, my friend? Okay,
sure, yeah.
All right, so go ahead. Read Candy's comments about for Johnny Damon, and you can formulate your opinion from there. Say my
teams that he used to play: the Kansas City Royals from 1995 to 2000, the Oakland Athletics in 2001, the Boston Red Sox 2022 to 2025, including the 04 World Series championship that broke the Babe Ruth curse. The New York Yankees 2006 to 2009. The Tigers, of course, 2010. The Tampa Bay Rays 2011. Cleveland, then Indians 2012. Career highlights and awards: 2-time All-Star from in 2002 and 2005. 2-time World Series champion 2004 and 2009. With the Red Sox and Yankees, plus American League stolen base leader in 2000 with the Royals.
Okay, Taylor, what's your thoughts? You got it in front of you. You said it yourself.
Well, of course, Johnny Damon, not quite a Hall of Famer. You have to be greater than solid. Damon was an X factor. Sometimes he hit home runs. Sometimes he hit. He drove in runs in many ways, but it takes more than that. Than a solid player to become a Hall of Famer.
Right.
Keep in mind too, even when he was in Oakland, he still wasn't the best player on that team because he had guys like Jason Giambi, Miguel Tejada, Eric Chavez when they were in their prime, even Terrence Long. So like he wasn't really the best guy on those teams. He was good, no doubt, but he wasn't the guy. And
those A's had a loaded offense back in the day.
And their pitching staff, and that pitching staff, man. People forget about that. That pitching staff was loaded too.
No kidding, evidently.
Mulder, Zito, Hudson.
Huh.
Wouldn't want to face
Barry Zito. Yes, I remember him.
Yep. Yeah, with him, they had a loaded rotation.
Yeah.
Okay, George.
Well, he had a cup of coffee, as they say, at short term in Detroit. I liked him. The fans liked him. He was always full of energy and all that. But this isn't the Hall of Fame of good guys. This is the Hall of Fame of great players. And that's what we got to continue to remind ourselves. Very, very good career. No question about it. But not a Hall of Fame career by any stretch as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'll say one thing. I'm not endorsing it either. Hall of very good, but you know what he's best known for? Reminds me of James Harden. What about the beard, the long hair?
Well, and
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, and what he was known
For a
for,
little
he
Oh, yeah.
immediately shaved off like what he was known for to go to become a Yankee, and no one even
Exactly.
recognized the
Good.
guy. Like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
here's
I was
Johnny
leading to
Damon.
that point, Clarky. Yeah, so
He won
to
another
me,
world.
the guy,
He,
he was known for his hair, and all that grizzly. Went to the Yankees, all of a sudden he's all clean shaven. All right, Eric, what do you want to add to that? We burnt something.
well,
here.
he won his second and final World Series ring with that clean shaven face. Just saying.
Well, so
and was-
what? He's still known for his hair. He reminded me of James Harden. Would you recognize James Harden?
We all
without a
remember.
beard? Really?
No, I wouldn't.
Seriously, really?
James Harden's always had a beard, from what I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Well, and he hadn't won anything either. I mean, he's never. So there you go. It's got Johnny. Although Johnny Davis
There's a
won world
difference.
championships, but James Harden known for the beard. I wouldn't know what he looks like after the beard, but it's interesting to thought. Well, some of them are good that we think they should get in. Johnny Damon's just the final, like you guys say. Hall of very good. Everybody answer on this one.
Yes.
All right, so here we go. We're gonna, as promised, we're gonna deliver on the Miami Marlins information we got earlier. Hope Ryan Newdall is on or nearby, and we'll be able to see it. But go ahead, Candy, run the tape, but also put the picture up of Clayton McCullough, a guy that I'm really looking forward to working with as the year goes on. Candy, take it away. And anyway, let's talk about the first month or so of the season. What have you seen with this team so far? Would you say they overachieved, underachieved, or what do you think? Because I know you have a long you go down with a lot of younger players where you assess the team on something.
The parts that have stood out for me that have been very encouraging are we continue to battle and fight, whether that would be after a tough game and our ability to bounce. We've seen that within games where middle late innings to just have to keep going and keep playing all nine. So that's very encouraging. I think we're going to have to certainly there are going to be areas I think we can as a team we can get cut down some of the balls. We have a group that is certainly capable of filling up the strike zone maybe more than we've shown this first month. So I think it's looking at more of that being a blip and a smaller sample of the season and really indicative of guys' ability to do that.
So he was talking about in that sequence about the team. Go ahead.
We look to do that, throughout the course of the season. Guys have gotten opportunities, and there are a lot that have, shown some really terrific things, and to put together, solid streaks. You just need to kind of have all fronts, clicking together to get on a good run. So, I think as a whole, happy with the guys, the players, the staff. We're just embracing each day as its own, and we're just looking to stack and build one down.
And one follow-up question. Let's talk about Sandy Alcantara. How do you assess what he's doing so far? And Max Mayer, is your pitcher today? Those are two guys that are obviously going to be a very key part of this team here throughout the year. I'm sure you have a lot of other guys that I'm talking about a lot.
Sandy, it's amazing. I think we have to keep in mind too what Sandy went through. It's a difficult procedure and a comeback. And so with Sandy, the strike throwing, the ability to command the ball hasn't been what he and us have been accustomed to. I would think that is going to be something that's going to just continue to come the more times he gets out and down. Not worried about Sandy. I think this is hasn't been the start that hear us envision, but also I think part of the process of what he's coming back from. And he's got so many starts left. I believe that is it's going to turn because he's too talented and he's too driven. And then Max has been I didn't want to call it a surprise. I think that we all through the offseason, our pitching coaches had conversations with Max and watching him start training and the quality of the stuff and the augmentation of his arsenal on top of the confidence that he had there. I think we all believed that Max was going to come out and have a very good year. And he's off to a good start. We've seen a very confident pitcher that's on the attack and has multiple weapons in which to get into the count and also to finish hitters off.
Okay, so here's what I had asked him during the interview. To assess Max Meyer and Sally Alcantara, keep in mind, in that game on Saturday, Max Meyer leaves with a no decision. Were any of you guys able to pick up anything that we had? Obviously, when you're in the dugout, the audio is a bit of a challenge So, George, let's start with you. What were you able to take out of McCullough? And Candy will put a photo up of McCullough and I as well in a moment.
Well, I think, McCullough's got a lot of good potential as a manager. I mean, that's invaluable. The kind of access that they gave you, Scott, to be in the dugout there and talking to the skipper. He has good command of his team. I like him. He's shown some really good signs to me and in making that team a contender, which is going to be a long process. But no, I think he's good on his feet. He's answering the questions that you and the other reporters posed to him. Basically, I got out of it. There's a lot of room for improvement, just like there is on almost every team. But there's a good sense of him being, I think, a good field manager, which is what they need. And you were blessed with another one before when your friend was there from the Yankees.
Yeah, Don Mattingly.
Right.
The thing that's important to take away from that interview, as I turn it over to Taylor, Trent, and Eric, is the guy's assessing what his team is like during the first 30 days of the season in light of the roster changes. Taylor, was there anything that you were able to get out of that?
No, I'm afraid not. I could barely hear him.
That's okay. No problem. Fair enough. Eric, what about you?
I think it's a guy who's obviously a rookie manager, definitely going through his own process and trying to figure out and figure out his own style, his own game. Kind of just trying. Obviously, that's what a lot of first year managers go by. He knows. There are some rookie managers who just are still figuring out the media thing. I feel like he's got it down pat, and that's always good. I think he kind of already has a good feel for his team, especially with where Sandy Alcantara is at. I know that he's kind of in the eval period right now, trying to figure out who's going to be here, going forward, and who are they going to let go. I think that they have. I think he's got a keeper right now on Kyle Stowers, and I think Connor Norby can be that guy. Obviously, Xavier Edwards is becoming another one of those guys, and he's about to get Yuri Perez back here real soon. But I think you got a guy who kind of has done who's kind of knows where his team's at after a month, and he's just figuring it out. I think that if things go well, he'll have a winner.
Yeah, go ahead, Taylor. You had something else you want to add to it?
Yeah, they are 13-20. Yeah, they're slowly but surely trying to get out of a really bad rut that they've been in the last few years. I see a little bit of progress. Like Eric Katz pointed out, he's a rookie manager. He's trying to he's got it down pat. He's trying to put everything together. It's going to take time.
Fair enough. Okay, Trent, and keep in mind, with Meyer, he knows he's got the future there. It'll be a matter of time going in there. Sandy Alcantara is coming off that serious operation that left him sidelined for last year. But that said, I'll turn it over to Trent. But I didn't take sign language.
Yeah, sorry. He's got a man. He's a young manager who's managing young players. I mean, this is a guy who's got to be looking at turning over every rock to see where we can get production from, where we can get defense from. And, he's talking about a young man who's got a really nice arm, who's going to be, he's got to be in the zone more. We can't give up freebies. We can't give up passes. He's got good stuff. So, I like the idea. He's getting back to the fundamentals. He's going to have to take a young team and play very, very strong fundamental baseball to be a 500 ball club. And I think that's a great learning lesson from those kids. The only challenge I feel is that, with a young club and a low budget team, is you develop those players and people see that, wow, this kid's really got his fundamentals down, and they trade for a talent like that to get him into another contract. And it's tough for the Marlins to keep the players that he develops. So I think that'll be a challenge down the road. It's not a challenge for today. He's got to play with the guys that got there. And it's going to be, it's an uphill climb. It's an uphill push. If that guy finishes the season at 500, he'd be the coach. He'd be the manager of the year for me in the National.
That's a great point. Well, I'll take a line out of Hoosiers. by the late Gene Hackman, and that's this. Let's see the hand I've been dealt. Pretty much. That's what he's figuring out.
Yeah.
He's certainly squeezing every drop out of that team so far.
Yeah, I think he's done really. And again, I got to know him as time goes on, and we had a private moment, a little bit later on Sunday, and I said, "Listen, it's really good. I'm looking forward to giving you my best shot with some of these questions. He says, I'm looking forward to listening to your questions because I have some very direct ones. Next week we'll add another thing to this segment here, and I'll ask him why he even took the job in the first place. So that's something that we'll be talking about in next week's edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. But the Miami Marlins, say what you want about their fire sales in the past. And I'm looking to find out how much of one there really is in this case with the promising young talent that they've acquired, not only in the system, but the people that they have to understand is not only what they have in the system, but what they've gotten back in those trades as well that they made last year. And Eric pointed out Trevor Rogers to me is the one that it looks like Mr. Bendix did a fleece job like we know in Brad Holmes. Go ahead, Eric.
Well, I'm going to say, though, I mean, the thing is, though, with the Marlins right now is, though, they've never really been committed to a direction. And that's why they've kind of been where they've been for the past while. I think, now with Peter Bendix, though, they're committed to trying to do something at least similar to what Tampa's doing. The fact that they're actually committing to a direction, though, is good to see, because that's something that they just never have done. They've either, we're going to go young, we're going to sign free agents, we're going to do this, that. They just never have committed to a direction. But right now we're seeing them actually commit to actually rebuilding everything from the bottom up, which, to be truthful, they've needed that since Jeffrey Loria became the owner.
Great points all the way around, Eric. You always come up with them. So anybody else want to add to this? Okay, well, we'll talk about the World Baseball Classic to be held over at Lone Depot Park. But Team USA manager is Mark Del Rosa, who will manage the USA in 2026 World Baseball Classic. Trent, what are your thoughts about Mark Del Rosa?
Yeah, I think it's been, my old manager, Mike. Mike, give me the name here. Sosha, thank you. Mike Sosha, has been Team USA manager for a long time, at least 4 or 5 years. A great transition from him from a day-to-day baseball program of the major leagues and that aggressive schedule to working with some of the best players. Obviously, he's a World Series player, champion, and a champion as a coach. Pretty good background. I don't know a lot about Mark DeRosa. And I'm interested to see how he does in the role, and excited that there's some change. It's never not always a bad thing. So I'll be interested to see how he does as the 2026 World Baseball Classic. But I do not know very much about Mark DeRosa.
That's fair enough. Eric?
Well, I remember Mark DeRosa went during his time with the Cubs. I know that he managed the Team USA the last time around with the World Baseball Classic, and actually got them to a championship. And obviously they lost to Japan, which Japan's going to come out and have great teams no matter what, because that team is fundamentally sound. I'm telling you, they execute everything basically as perfect as you can get it. But he got him to the championship last year. He's got Aaron Judge this year, which I think is huge for them. And
Right.
With Aaron Judge being on the roster, though, I think you're gonna see Team USA get a lot more talented players than they had last year, especially with Judge being on the roster.
8 points. Taylor?
I think Mark DeRosa can lead Team USA to a championship that they'll have to go through Japan again next year. The competition's going to be heating up as well. Also got Puerto Rico, Cuba.
Right.
The DR.
The DR, yeah, the Dominican Republic, yes.
Okay.
Even Canada.
Canada's gotten better, actually, a lot. It's gotten a lot better over the years.
Yes.
I mean, they got some guys who can play.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you, I asked Daniel Alvarez that same question when we did our interview. Maybe what I'll do is throw that nugget in. next week's help you guys out a little bit because Dan was unbelievable. He was shocked that I threw that question in. So I'm going to go out there and incorporate that as a soundbite next week. All right, George, some thoughts about DeRosa.
Well, I think like anything, when you talk about an international competition, there's going to be a lot of good and a lot of bad and a lot of stuff in between. By that, I mean, he's got an opportunity to seize this opportunity. It's not his first rodeo, as you guys mentioned, but this is a great opportunity for DeRosa to really shine. I know that the tournament is not the best arranged in the world of baseball, but I think considering the long season and everything, I don't think there's much choice to try it anywhere else. It is disruptive to the teams, but we'll get into that more another day. But yeah, DeRosa, he's going to have another strong team, no question about it. You mentioned about Aaron Judge. I mean, he's going to have some great players, great talent on that USA team. So we'll see. But I'm looking forward to it too. It's a great tournament and glad to see it in places like Miami. And I guess they play in Los Angeles and of course at other sites around the world as well in the preliminary rounds. But it's a great tournament. I look forward to it.
Yeah, Lone Depot Park does a really good job down there, especially knowing that you have the heavy Latin-based market in Little Havana. You drive by, there's not a lot of development like there is in the areas like Comerica Park and any of the other areas around the country. But let's face the reality, that Lone Depot Park is built on the former site of the Orange Bowl. Mm-hmm. When the Marlins couldn't get a deal like they were hoping anywhere else, they opted to go there, and that's what their fan base is. But the Orange Bowl once upon a time held over 70,000 people. And when the Miami Hurricanes and Dolphins were playing great football, they went out there and filled that place. So, there's a lot of history on that site, and I'll be writing that in some of my upcoming columns. So, again, everybody's on target. You're going to have a lot of talent on that team. So, we all know that Mark DeRosa is going to be managing an all-star team of sorts. If you're not managing the AL or NL all-star team, then you're going to be managing a different all-star team anyways. And I promise you guys that I will do is add Daniel Alvarez's comments throughout the year based on our interview, and we're going to match that up with next week's broadcast. Great stuff. A couple more topics I want to get to real quickly. Number one, if a pitcher struck out 250 batters for 22 straight years, Nolan Ryan would still have more strikeouts. Can you believe that, Taylor Phillips?
Yeah. I mean, that's a very tall order. Very tall order. I've known Nolan Ryan as a Major League Baseball pitcher for a long time, even as a kid, even when I was a kid. So Nolan Ryan just kept striking everybody out. 7 no-hitters in his career. Nobody can ever top that career-wise.
Right.
I would say nobody could even top how many strikeouts he notched in his career as well. Like about almost 1,000 for God's sake. That's even greater than 500.
Yeah. Actually, Candy, come up with the strikeout totals. They're actually mind-boggling when you think about it. And I think one of those no-hitters occurred against the Detroit Tigers when he was a member of the California.
Yes, it did.
Candy will come up with it, Taylor. I think a lot of people are astonished when you look at
Please do, Candy.
Totals. Yeah, no, it's okay, Taylor. You're all right. I mean, nobody can keep count. I can't even go past 10, but I think it was over 5,000 and change. But there's some record, and I'm going to do a show on records that'll never be broken. And you can rest assured, Taylor, when you get that information, you'll be astonished at what we come up with. Again, the whole purpose of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk is to come up with topics that most places won't want to come up with. We're not afraid to dive into the history of the game. We're really not, in addition to some of the current trends and topics. So the Candy provides that information about Nolan Ryan. We'll put it up there. George, your thoughts about Nolan Ryan and the stat that I laid out there for you?
Well, that's an unbelievable thing, and we know it's never going to happen. As good as some of our pitchers are nowadays, they're never going to top him. And yes, I do remember he threw that no-hitter. In fact, Detroit got no-hit twice that year. The other one was Steve Busby of the Kansas City Royals that no-hit the Tigers at Tiger Stadium. But, oh, yeah, boy, I tell you what, Nolan Ryan, you didn't want to play around with him. And he went at it, too. Remember the fights that he got into sometimes, those brawls? He held his own against everybody that tried to pull a fist on him, man.
Robinson.
He's a good, yep, great video of that. Any of your listeners, Scott and watchers here, you should pull that up on YouTube and look at that fight again. That Ryan, boy, he is a mean SOB when he had to be, but he was a mean pitcher. No question about it.
Okay, so Taylor, this stat's for you. I'm going to have you read it, my friend. All right?
Let's do it.
Go ahead. There you go. You get an education tonight. And this stat's
Nolan Ryan had a lifetime win-loss record of 324 and 292. That's a 526 winning percentage. Of course, he's human. And was an 8-time All-Star. He had 5,714 career strikeouts and an MLB record that is 839 more than runner-up Randy Johnson, the big unit. Similarly, Ryan's 2,795 bases on balls lead second place Steve Carlton by 962, walking over 50% more hitters than any other pitcher in MLB history. Ryan's lifetime batting average against of 200.204 is also a major league record. He recorded 300 strikeouts in a season 6 different times, which is a major league record as well.
All right, so Taylor, quick question for you, okay?
Yes.
Ready? You learn anything from that?
Man, a whole lot.
Exactly.
The numbers never lie.
Exactly. That's my point. Good stuff. All right.
All summarizes the fact that no one can ever top Nolan Ryan, like I said.
That's right. Exactly. That's why this topic made our air tonight, Mr. Phillips.
They all prove my point.
Bingo. All right, Eric. Nolan Ryan.
I mean, that's the greatest pitcher of all time. I mean, no one's touching that. I mean, especially nowadays with starting pitchers kind of after 100 pitches out of there. Now, Nolan Ryan stayed out there from start to finish. You know, you're talking about pitcher. You think pitchers are trying to throw for power, are trying to be power pitchers. Now, Nolan Ryan was the first. I mean, you want to talk about unicorns? That guy was probably so rare you won't even see him again. And obviously, you know, and the fact of the matter is too, he's probably the last. I think he's the last pitcher that truly was tough, because you had to buckle up when you faced him in the batter's box. And then also the fact that when he got hit and obviously had the blood coming off his face, and he still stayed in the game, that's a hard guy to face. And that just shows you just how great of a pitcher he is. I mean, there's a reason he is the greatest pitcher of all time. You put him up against anybody. Clemens, good in anybody, or any Hall of Famer, even Cy Young, and I doubt they will ever equal Nolan Ryan or even Randy Johnson for that matter.
All right, you got a tough act to follow, Clark. Good luck.
Yeah, the Express, by the way. I love Nolan. Loved his long career. Love that they named the team that he bought, the Express, over there in
Round Rock,
Yep, Round Rock, Texas. Yep. So, also proved his love for the game. I mean, I don't think he was out of the game 2 years, and he bought the team in Round Rock, brought him to brought professional baseball to Dallas suburb there, and or the Austin suburb. And then, I mean, I just think that, I look at the guy. The only thing that surprises me about Ryan was his winning percentage wasn't higher. It kind of talks about some of the teams he's on, right?
Yeah,
because with those stats, you'd think this guy was a 70% winner, right? And
he played on some bad teams.
That's the only thing that ever surprised me about Ryan.
Yeah, excellent point. Well, the one thing people have to understand about Nolan Ryan is the guy's a good businessman too.
Yeah.
Yep.
He knows how to handle his money. I think he owned a bank at one point somewhere. Yeah. If you're a baseball player looking to become a businessman, go to Nolan Ryan. This guy got it figured out. He's one of those few people that did this as much, if not more, after baseball than he did with it. So more power to Nolan. I've always thought I'm revered at what he's been able to do too. And Candy's got more stats. So you know what, Taylor, I'm volunteering you to read them all. I need a good voice over here for these stats. So go ahead, Taylor. I'm passing the baton on to you. And one of those names is Bob Feller, who I had a chance to become friends with many years ago in my days at Gastonia. Go ahead, Taylor.
Like I pointed out, Ryan is the all-time leader in no-hitters with 7. Like I just said, 3 more than any other pitcher. He is tied with Bob Feller, aforementioned, for the most one-hitters with 12. Ryan also pitched 18 two-hitters despite this, he never pitched a perfect game, nor did he ever win a Cy Young award, which is a shame. Both were largely attributed to his high walk rate. Oh man, that's why he never won a Cy Young. Ryan is one of only 31 players in baseball history to have appeared in MLB games in 4 different decades. So to prove why he never won a Cy Young, he had a high walk rate, like that comment mentioned. If he just lowered down his walks and kept up with its strikeouts, he could win. He could have won at least one Cy Young award, maybe even 2, dare I say.
Well, I'll say his durability only has one name written all over it. We all know it too well. Gordie Howe.
Well, if my ace had a $1.69 ERA and he's walking everybody left and right, yet none of them are coming across the plate. If I'm in the dugout, I wouldn't be complaining.
Unbelievable. Great stuff, Candy. She's not on the air tonight because she becomes our statistician. She comes up with some doozies. Everybody else comment on this? I just think Nolan Ryan is just unbelievable, and I'm glad we got a chance to bring him on.
That's the last horse.
All right, yeah, that's unbelievable. Final topic of the night: Jackson Merrill. Padres agreed to a 9-year, $135 million contract extension, much to the dismay of the Players Association. They were hoping he'd get a lot more, but Jackson Merrill is a classic example that not how much you get, it's whether you're happy where he's at. All right, Eric, some thoughts about Jackson Merrill.
Well, the Players Association generally hates extensions anyway before free agency. They'd rather do the Scott Boras model where you turn down any extension offer and get him into free agency. That's because ultimately if he goes there, then the market for other he had the opportunity to set the market and it goes up. I know that they were unhappy when Bobby Witt Jr. did that in Kansas City, but hey, he's comfortable where he is. If had it not been for Paul Skeens, he would have been Rookie of the Year last year, hands down. I can guarantee you that. It just unfortunately he came in the same time. Unfortunately, he had to deal with Paul Skeens, who's just unbelievable in his own right. But if he's happy, and you're enjoying what's going on with your team, why not? I mean, you could have you had the opportunity to set the market and potentially, sign a Soto or a Vlad-like deal, but good for him. He's happy. He wants to do well. He wants to try and win in San Diego.
All right, Taylor, what are your thoughts?
Well, he wants to become a Padre, win or lose. So they offered him the contract, 9 years, over $100 million. He still has to bring it, but even that doesn't match Miguel Cabrera's 10-year contract extension with the Tigers. But really, the Padres are one of those contenders in the NL West among the Giants and the Dodgers. Even the Diamondbacks are creeping up too. Forget about the Rockies, but the Padres are one of those 3 contenders in the NL West that could be at least an NL wildcard contender, and they need Jackson Merrill. What's one of those players to step up?
Excellent points all the way around. What about you, George?
Well, they throw around so much money. It's so hard to keep track of who's making what, but I tell you what, he's got a very good future ahead of him, I feel. And San Diego is making a huge effort. They want to win this thing. They want to knock off the Dodgers from their throne. And they may do it this year. But no, that's a big contract. I agree with what Eric said, though. The Steve Boroses of the world, they don't like that. They don't want these long-term deals so quickly out of the gate like that. But too bad. He's got his security now. He and his family probably love the San Diego area, which is a great, great place. Having visited just one time, it was just a fabulous place to live, as most of you know. But the fact of the matter is he's only one guy. They got to do it as a team. As we know, it takes more than one to put this thing in the win column as far as winning a World Series. The San Diego franchise is still looking for that elusive first World Series championship.
Fair enough. All right, Trent.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson's a player. It's a great contract for a 22-year-old. I mean, it's unbelievable money. And I like the Padres move on this. It's probably, if he turns out to be what everybody thinks he can be, it's a pretty good deal in today's value, especially for a 27, 28-year-old frontline player. If he turns out to be a top 2-3 player for a pretty good lineup with the Padres, and at the end of this agreement, he's only 31 years old at the end of this contract.
Right.
He's a youngin', man. I mean, he's 22 years old. He's a 2003 birth, right? So, I have 3 sons. I have 4 sons, and he's between my second and third son as an age group. He's a youngin'. This guy would only be a senior in college right now. So he's got a lot of blue water out in front. I think locking him up is a move that we've seen other organizations make. I'm impressed the Padres make it because he's probably a 6 or 7 guy on that roster right now. And I think in 3 or 4 years, he's going to be a 2 or 3 guy.
And nothing wrong with another Tony Gwynn finishing his career one place, that's for sure. And I talk about Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn. And yes, you are right, George. I mean, San Diego is an incredible place. You ever been to La Jolla? Go there. I've been to the San Diego Zoo. It's unbelievable. I know Trent.
Unbelievable. Very good.
Yeah, it's just an unbelievable place. Hi, Ralph. Glad that you made it here tonight. We will talk more Pittsburgh talk next week. Although, Ralph, I did mention earlier, now that you mentioned that we're happy to hear about the progress of the fan that's actually starting to take some positive steps in the right direction. That was mentioned. For those of you that are just joining us, for those of you that are just joining us, if you're just coming on now, please go out there and watch the show that started. Have a lot of good information. You mentioned a Pirates nugget in there, as well as a big Hall of Fame theme. And we're doing a lot of stuff with the Marlins. So we try to keep it well-rounded all the way around. And glad to have the group that we have. Next week, we're going to be adding Stan Huff to our lineup twice a month. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Stan Huff, but he's a really great baseball guy. And he's going to be joining our crew a couple times a month. I know Eric is for this, that's for sure. So we'll have another guy. I've known Stan for a while, and he'll give us another veteran perspective about baseball as well. One thing I've always tried to do with these shows is to make sure I get the best talent as I can, but more importantly, some of the most experienced people to blend in with different generations as well. So it's really good stuff, and I enjoy what we have, but nothing wrong with adding another piece that gives us a different perspective. Will there be as many topics as there are with 5? Maybe not, but so what? The bottom line is our goal here is to put as many topics out there, because once we come on our air around 8:30, at least there's no backup show. And I find out sometimes our audiences get a little bit bigger as time goes on because there's less people broadcasting at this time frame as well. Again, we want to keep our shows at moderate length, but we also want to make sure we got the most important points possible, and that everybody, our goal is to entertain and make sure that everybody can learn, and that's our goal. So glad everybody on tonight. Any closing thoughts here, George, real quickly?
No. Tigers are going to start a series in Colorado, and they're playing very well. So we'll see what happens there. The weather's iffy, though, for tomorrow night's opening game of this series. But the Tigers continue to set the pace in the American League.
Fair enough. What about you, Taylor?
Yeah, same here. The weather's going to go both ways. The Rockies, the Tigers should have no problem with, no matter the weather. The Rockies only have 6 wins, and the Tigers have the best record in the American League.
6 wins.
That's it. Just 6. Okay. I found it out in the standings on the MLB app.
That's fair enough. Okay. What about you, Taylor? Some closing thoughts? Or no, you already said, Eric. I'm sorry.
Well, Yanks kind of going through a rough stretch here. Kind of dropped the last 2 series, but they're still in first place thanks to Boston struggling, which that's always a good thing whenever they do. But they're it's not going to last forever. Gotta start winning. Gotta start winning them. I know they're up 3-0 right now against a really tough San Diego Padres team. So hopefully that series goes their way.
And Trent?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's obviously early. It's hard to get too excited about records. I mean, it's great to see the Tigers take off. I'm highly concerned about the Rockies. 6 wins right now. I mean, as you're 5 days into May, that's a pretty crazy statistic. they might be begging for rainouts over in Colorado soon, so they can maybe avoid some games. I don't know. I mean, they're gonna have to make up those double headers, but it's tough. It's gonna be interesting to see what some of these teams do who are gonna push the panic button on some of this really rough April, May, and that might be a topic, Motor City Madmouth, for next week. Like, what some panic may happen in some of these teams after opening poorly for April and May. What will they do? Will they make manager changes? Will they make any trades? What they might do, start unloading some big salaries, things like that, because clubs tend to do it right around that All-Star break.
Yeah, that may be something we talk about at the end of May. For those of you that obviously heard the Clayton McCullough comments, the entire Marlins media availability with the manager can be found on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel as well. So hopefully you'll be able to hear it again. We obviously do the best we can. When you're in a dugout, it's not easy to get the best sound in there because the noise doesn't go as high, but we do the best we can. But there's an entire media availability on Clayton McCullough's pregame press conference on Saturday. So I hope you could go to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do so already. And then you hear everything that the manager is. And of course, the thing I'm going to close it out with myself is I'm looking forward to adding more and more clips from different people that we speak to with each and every show. And obviously, everybody understands the Marlins are a team that I follow here. And I'm also, one of my teammates down here is former Tigers broadcaster Rod Allen, who's also a broadcaster for us. Rodney and I are back here together in Miami. Where do all of us old guys go? We go to the sunshine, baby. We go to the sunshine. And I don't want to sit there and spit it out ahead of time, but former Michigan President Santa Ono, well, we'll talk about it a little bit more on Wednesday night, is going to the Florida Gators. So he don't want to shovel snow either. So go figure. So, but we'll mention that in more detail on Wednesday night. I just couldn't resist putting it on tonight. So with that said, we'll go around the horn and let everybody know how they get a hold of themselves. Go ahead, start it off with you, George.
All right. You can get a hold of me at the South Florida Tribune website. Follow my articles as one of the contributors. At the end of my article, there's a link to purchase my book, which is called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. And it takes everybody a walk down history throughout the Detroit sports media business. So there's a link to that at the end of my columns. You can follow me here at the programs, 108 Stitches, the Sports Exchange. Lots of fun we have here on the network, and looking forward to seeing everybody. gicorn@yahoo.com is the easiest way to get a hold of me. You can also follow me on Twitter or X at SanGSports99.
All right, Taylor, go ahead.
All right. My podcast is the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, of course. Subscribe to its YouTube channel. Click or tap on live to find its latest full episodes. Turn on all notifications on the bell icon. Follow it on X, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Michigan_Truth. Like its Facebook page. Also listen to it in audio form on Spreaker, and follow it and join its supporters club.
Great stuff, Taylor. Glad to have you on every Monday night. I always look forward to your timely commentary. Great stuff. Keep up the improvement. All right, Taylor. All right, Eric. I don't know how much improvement you need. You're a genius anyways, but go ahead, put it out there anyways.
You can follow me on my Twitter at sportsteamnews.com, or you can follow my blog at bellyupsports.com, where I write all things baseball. You think I don't like your team? Yeah, I really don't like your team either.
Yeah, you're gonna have to trademark that line. It's great. All right, Clarky, and then Candy will take us home with our final.
I'm getting the T-shirts that says "Cats doesn't like your team." I'm gonna wear that next week, right?
Good.
Yeah, that will be the only T-shirt I allow you to wear on this show.
Yeah, Trent Clark. You can find me at Trent@leadershipity.com. Trent@leadershipity.com. My podcast is Winners Find a Way. You can find that on all the major networks. And my new book is Leading Winning Teams. Just came out in August of last year with Wiley Publishing. Super fired up about this book. Have it in ebook form, audio book form, and obviously a hardcover. You can find it on all the major networks, your Amazon, your Barnes & Noble, all the biggies. So look for it. Love to pick it up. Reach out to me anytime. Always love to talk sports and business.
There you go. All right, Candy, take us the rest of the way.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. It is written by your host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. And the foreword was written by another great person on this panel, Mr. George, the Uncle Icorn. Great job by both of these gentlemen. Talks about their 45 years in the media business. How old school media has changed into new school media. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. Get your copy today. There is also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great other content. So go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you see a red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you have not subscribed to our channel yet. Honestly, I don't know why you haven't. We have some great content on it. Click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family. And then go to everybody else's YouTube channel and subscribe to all there is too, because we have great guests and great hosts on our network, and we want you to go to their podcast as well. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, call Scott 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, because you don't want to be a guest but you want there's something you want us to talk about, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
Thank you, Katie. And prior to the show tonight, we had another additional person of people. Steve Reichel is a rising star in this company and continues to do an amazing job, not only with that show, but he's also on Inside the Pigskin, and he actually will probably be bringing the real and the rare back, because he does a lot of stuff with combat sports as well as other different sports. So we have different shows for different uses. So we're glad to have him on. He'll be on tomorrow night. And of course, I'll have a doubleheader on Wednesday night. I'm working on and pretty well close to getting it. Is NBA legendary broadcaster Steve Holman Sr. should be on our network on Wednesday as a lead into the Sports Exchange. He's a longtime voice of the Atlanta Hawks. George is working on George Blaha for us. And of course, we'll have hockey night on Thursday as well with Mike Santos. Candy does her thing with 3 Chicks in a Pod and Chicks and Salts on Tuesday. So we have a lot of people involved. Pimpin' Sports is a big part of what we do. So we have a lot of good partners here on the network. So go ahead, Candy. She popped up. You have a reason to come back on, right, Candy? Go ahead.
I do want to announce that the 3 Chicks in a Pod will be broadcasting on our network tomorrow night, 7:30. So check us out. We're going to be talking about a little NBA, a little bit WNBA, a little bit about Greg Pop, because you know that he retired from head coaching, and some more topics. So check out our YouTube channel tomorrow night.
There you have it. Thank you very much, Candy, for implementing. So with that said, that does it for this edition of our HH's Baseball Talk. Glad you can join us tonight. Well, we look forward to doing this again next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. On behalf of Candy Epling as our producer, George Icorn, Taylor Phillips, Trent Clark, and Eric Encyclopedia Katz. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us. And yes, Trent, go ahead and put those rings up. That's okay. Then we'll go from there. So everybody have a great night. We'll see you next Monday night. Have a great week, everybody. Bye now.